Welcome to 18-Minute Leaders, JI's new series on insights into parenting, education, and success with leaders of today and tomorrow. I'm your host, Karina Rock, and today we are so happy to welcome Dr. Tammy Keces, head of school at Irvine Hebrew Day School in Southern California. Today's topic is positive discipline and how understanding and implementing these methods can help us become the parents and educators we want to be. Dr. Keces, how do you become interested in positive discipline?
My interest in positive discipline started a long time ago when I was interested in how to best support and nurture a child's full development. And when I was a research assistant at UCLA, I was studying early childhood motivation and found that extrinsic rewards or punishments was not ideal to promote that internal development that we wanted in children. After graduating from UCLA, I had the opportunity to live and work in Japan. And that really informed my understanding of how to build a cooperative learning community, how to nurture those skills, like even just helping in a classroom and all the kids participating together to serve lunch and feel that ownership, which motivated me to actually become an educator after those experiences. And as a first grade teacher, I adopted positive discipline after being trained in it by Dr. J. Nelson herself, because I wanted to find the answers to an educational model that would truly nurture the academic and social emotional development of a child.
Wow, that's amazing. What an amazing opportunity. So many different opportunities that you've had. So I know one of the principles of positive discipline is telling versus asking. How does this small concept create positive change in relationship dynamics?
Well, one of the things that we've learned as educators is that words matter and it's nuanced. So, a lot of the time, parents and educators spend their day telling children what to do, how to do it. And in our efforts, and even in the name of love, we're not teaching them to be critical thinkers or to draw from their own understanding of things, as opposed to when you ask children questions that start with what or how, it invites them to come up with their own answers. And it also creates that connection and that relationship that we want with children. And so the subtle difference between asking versus telling can make a really big impact on a child's development.
I hear you. I hear you. And I believe so much in positive discipline. And together we created two JI Tap games that that highlight the wheel of choice. And I know that you use the wheel of choice at your school. And I wanted to show everybody these games that we created and talk a little bit about positive what the positive discipline method of wheel of choice is while we're watching these games.
I'm so excited to share this game with everybody because what it is, it's an explicit method of teaching children very important skills like effective communication, self regulation, how to, you have so many choices when you come across a frustrating moment or when you're facing a problem. And the wheel of choice is promoting children's ability to choose different strategies depending on what they're feeling or thinking in different scenarios. And so I really think that now, with technology being a wonderful resource for children, this is another pathway for them to learn how they can navigate their own challenges. And so the way the game works is really so that they're learning to identify when I'm feeling frustrated because maybe my sibling took something that they were playing with, that they can self-regulate before they solve the problem. Because we know children are often very upset and they're saying and doing things that are not loving, productive, helpful, and respectful. The wheel of choice teaches them, well, maybe I need to go to a cool off spot in my home and self regulate, or even at school, we have them. This wheel of choice can be used at school and at home, and it's fully aligned. These strategies give the children a chance to identify their emotions. So I'm feeling angry or I'm frustrated. What do I do with that emotion? Should I breathe? Should I use an I statement or an I message to share my feelings? There are so many different things, and oftentimes children need to be explicitly taught what those strategies are to help them feel better so that they don't say or do the thing that often makes them feel worse and makes it harder to repair the mistake.
Yeah.
This wheel of choice activity also teaches them emotional language. All the words that help them to express their feelings are often limited to mad, glad, sad, and scared. We want
Right.
children to expand those feelings.
Right. And I love it that we could put that also the Hebrew version of the words on the game so that they have that language in both English and Hebrew. Um, kind of tailoring these games to not just positive discipline, but to discipline in a Jewish environment and what that looks like.
Absolutely, Karina. I mean, the beauty of positive discipline is that it's fully aligned with Torah education, that we want children to fully develop compassion and empathy and move towards developing their best selves. And this is a way of an approach so that we're giving them those explicit, concrete tools,
Mhm.
and it is showing up in our classrooms. It's showing up. I love hearing stories from parents about how children are using this wheel of choice at home, and it's moving the relationships in their families with their peers so that they're deepening that connection and really learning to express themselves and listen. This game is such a fun way to learn those skills, because oftentimes, talking about feelings or learning about feelings is actually very challenging. And
Right.
this is just another way for them to engage in this feeling, social emotional language, and learn the skills on their own independently, which is really what we want them ultimately to know how to do.
For sure. And I just want to let everybody know that we made two games, and both the links are going to be in the description of this 18-minute leaders. So please go there and check it out. And I know that Jane Nelson is kind of the positive discipline. How would you
She's the
describe her?
founder.
She's the
She's,
founder. She's the
yeah,
founder. I was gonna say she's the positive. She is my positive discipline guru, but she is the founder of Positive Discipline.
She
And
is remarkable. She was inspired by the teachings of Alfred Adler, and Adler was a very inspiring psychiatrist, psychologist who believed that all human motivation is driving towards belonging and significance and connection. And she took that teaching, those philosophy, the theory, and applied it into this approach called positive discipline. And many people have referenced it over the years. And the reason why it has stood this test of time is because it resonates across cultures, religion, races. This philosophy is now in over 80 countries. It's being translated in many different languages because I think culturally and religiously, we all want children to do what she says, which is to do children do better when they feel better.
right, and that's one of my favorite things about about that about the whole philosophy is that as an educator and a parent, I know that my children do better when they feel better about themselves, when they feel better about their environment, when they feel better and when they feel trust between the adults and the other and their peers. So I wanted to kind of also bring out the idea of the adult being kind and firm and talk a little bit about that.
So it's such an important concept, this idea of balancing the kind and the firm, because what we want is for children to see how capable they truly are. And I think that having those high expectations is one of the ways we can find out how capable they are. When we create a culture of respect, we're talking about mutual respect. It's a community of respect. And when I lived in other cultures, like in Japan, I got to see how that looks when you set up boundaries and teach and take time to teach children these skills. These cooperative skills then are able to be in action, working together, putting lunches together and cleaning up the community together. And I took that idea that, oh my goodness, we need to have these high expectations and also take time to teach them. And maybe we're being so kind to children, we're supporting them and encouraging, but we're also not giving them boundaries. And that's one of the 5 criteria of positive discipline, is to think about teaching children kind and firmness is mutual respect. It's also teaching them those skills that will last them a lifetime, that
Right.
it's not just a temporary solution. And that's what our goal is to give them that, build up their ability to be a part of a meaningful community.
Yeah. And I love what you've said to me before, that building that community and the tension between the individual and community, so that you're definitely empowering the individual, but at the same time, you're building a strong community. Um,
And absolutely. And with that, you're not just focusing on the children to become leaders, you're
right.
also focusing on children to become more just self advocates for themselves.
Mhm.
And you need to balance the community with people who are leading and helping everybody else strive towards excellence. And also, they need to be mindful of bringing in other voices and hearing other ideas and supporting others, because what we want a world where all those different kinds of personalities and individual differences are truly celebrated.
Mhm.
And that's what this is about. Positive discipline is about nurturing and building those respectful relationships while also celebrating your individual difference and who you are as a human, and celebrating you as a unique person in this beautiful world.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tammy Keces. Thank you so much for joining us
Thank you
on,
for having me.
you're welcome, on 18-Minute Leaders, and for sharing so many meaningful and useful strategies and tips for parents and educators. And I just wanted to remind you that you can also find in the description below some other links to other 18-minute leaders that we've recorded and are there for you to listen and enjoy. And I wanted to ask you, as we end the session, we always have our tweet takeaway. If you had to tweet one takeaway message summarizing your core values, ideas, what would it be?
I would tweet out to allow children to sit in their own self discovery.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.